Yoweri Museveni took over power, the economy was estimated at $1.5 billion. As we speak right now, it's $50 billion existing in the East African region against a region economy of $300 billion. But we believe with the ICT revolution, this can be empowered and it can be a different story. Now, still on top of that, we've seen the emergence of new technologies, most especially talking about artificial intelligence, machine learning, and so many more. And this is what we use in our day-to-day activities. Charlotte, do you use artificial intelligence?
Yes, I do.
You use it?
By artificial intelligence, you mean the phones and the laptop and tabs and everything, yes.
Yeah, even the software.
Calculators, instead of using your brain.
Exactly. All that is artificial intelligence.
Yes, I do.
And now they have taken it to a whole new level, whereby people now, don't do a lot of work. You feed the software information and you tell it, make me a report. And it makes for you a report.
You know that is going to actually make people lose jobs?
Exactly.
Because people used to complain about the factories having machinery and people are not having factory jobs anymore.
Yeah.
So if they do that and at the front desk, you can just enter. You're like, my name is so-and-so, I'm here to see so-and-so. And the computer will tell the boss, there's someone here to see you.
To see you.
So at the end of the day, you will see that we don't have receptionists anymore. We don't have secretaries anymore. We don't have people who have to work in the IT department or the HR department. So you find that people are going to actually be losing jobs. That means the computers, the robots are going to be doing everything.
Doing everything. Actually, there are airports in the world which you access and you don't even have to show your passport, a facial recognition.
Yes.
Before you know it, your data is already into the system.
Chinese are already doing that.
China.
Yes, because when you get that, you see, we used to have this thing whereby when you go in, you check in your luggage, they check the kilos, and then if it's extra, you have to pay. These days, if it is 14 kilos, it has to be 14 kilos. Because there's just a robot, there's a machine. You're not going to tell the machine, I can pay for the extra luggage. So you just enter your luggage, you put it there, they weigh it, you just put it in. If it is extra, they reject it. They can't take it in.
They can't take it in.
There's no way you can actually beat the robot.
The robot.
Yeah.
Artificial intelligence, indeed. You know, as much as we are into the revolution of digitization, I'm scared, like, about what you just mentioned about the losing of jobs.
Yeah.
I want to understand what is the way forward for these people and what does government have planned for the people that have lost jobs as a result of the emerging AI, artificial intelligence technologies. Now, of late, there is a company called Deloitte. It's based in Europe. I think they have a branch here in Uganda. And most of it's, they deal more in financial records and but they developed their own artificial intelligence, an engine. Today we have the Chat GPT, which people use for quite a lot, which actually helps people get jobs. It can make you a CV, can do you everything. So,
is there anything we are going to have left to do for ourselves?
But of course, despite all that, you need to have some knowledge about what you do, because using artificial intelligence, because people who know, they can know the wording of AI, who have mastered. And now there are courses that are being taught by people. They're designing also softwares to help somebody know that if you bring me your CV, I can scan it and I know this is not you, this is artificial intelligence and all that. So the Deloitte company, people make these reports and they put them into their own AI engine. The company developed their own AI engine and it helps them to make financial reports and they make different reports in different roles. But these are already professionals, because I think artificial intelligence is here to boost our abilities, but it's not here entirely to take away our jobs, because there is what we can use it for and there is what it's not necessary. Because honestly, it's how can you tell me that a counselor, you get an AI to counsel me, I've come with marriage problems, and the robot is going to give me marriage counseling?
There is supposed to be emotional connection between the counselor, and the person talking. So this robot can actually not get the emotional support I need. Sometimes you just need that physical presence of a person.
The physical presence.
Yes, because okay, it might be good that you know that no one is going to say your secret out there. But remember, sometimes these things record. And these days, since people are scared of being recorded and being put out there afterwards. So you would prefer having a person and you're like, you know what? I told Andrew my problems. So if they're out there, it's Andrew that knows them.
Knows them,
Yes.
exactly. Interesting. And now, as we take a look at these new emerging technologies, we are seeing innovations that are taking place in Uganda to help this a reality. We are assembling smartphones right now.
Yes. Yeah.
It's interesting.
Uganda.
Yeah, we are assembling
top.
smartphones. Yeah, Kenya has already, of course, we are a bit behind because some of the stakeholders say we are a bit slow to adapting to changing trends. Kenya is already doing that. Last year,
Yeah.
Ruto launched a phone manufacturing farm in Kenya, providing phones at some friendly prices. Yeah, friendly prices for those that can't afford them. So here we are seeing this happening also in Uganda here. Of course, we have the Minister of ICT on to the launch of Uganda's first smartphone, and grateful to the key stakeholders here. And this is what Mr. Baryomosi, the Minister for ICT and National Guidance, had to say about this.
We know such a moment when we would be launching mobile phones, smartphones, like we are doing this evening. And therefore, we should all feel proud that this is happening here in Uganda in our time. Honorable Bahati and I come from a part of the country, southwestern Uganda, which is hilly and mountainous, like some parts of China where I have been. Like when you go to the Great Wall, some of those areas are quite hilly and mountainous. At the time when we were born, the mode of communication was mainly facilitated by those hills. You would stand on the top of a hill and using the natural voice, you call the people over there. Whether you're inviting them for a function or announcing the death of a dear one or communicating anything, or whether it was government work to do some community work for government. That's how people communicated then, at the time when some of us were born and raised up. I am sure when you say that to the young people and the children who are born today, they will think you are just narrating a story. Because technology was not as advanced as it is today. Some improvements then included maybe having a handwritten letter, which they would give you as a young child to carry across the relatives for them to pass on the message which you wanted to communicate. And I want you to relate the period then and what it is today in terms of communication. Things have improved for the better tremendously. As I was seated there on the chair, I made a payment to somebody about 500 kilometers away from here, just through a mobile phone. And I effected a payment when I was just seated here. I remember when I was still in secondary school, if you went to school without carrying fees and the parents had to send fees, it would be a nightmare how the fees would come. So many things have happened, and things continue to change and improve for the better. There have been what we call industrial revolutions. Honorable Bahati, the minister responsible for industry.
Well, that is the Minister for ICT, that is Baryomosi, giving that. We are very grateful for what was actually happening, what is happening that way in the innovation. We are assembling phones here in Uganda as we speak right about now. But, however, we are celebrating that success. We still have a few hindrances here and there. As later on, still the Minister of ICT says that we are a little bit slow to the adaptation of new trends, because now talking about the fourth revolution, because ICT is now the new revolution come the 21st century for economies that are going to experience some bit of economic growth. They are venturing into ICT, and China, I think, is really a way above this game, when it comes to technology and artificial intelligence that way. Now, for Uganda's case, we need to be a little bit adaptive to these new changes. We need to train people.
And how are they going to help these people in the villages?
Now,
the farmers.
The big golden
Because if
question.
we are to be adaptive, there are countries that are actually developing and they're actually adapting to all this. And most of them, even the ones who have not had the education that they need to have all these things, the government is actually helping in sensitizing them and telling them this is how it's supposed to be done, this is how you're supposed to do it. But as Ugandans, we have people who are in Kanungu. How are they going to know about these things? And what is the government going to do about it? Because if we are to go to the next level as a country, everybody has to be thought about.
Okay, no one should be left behind.
Yes, because if we see schools here in Kampala, kids are using tabs to study. Kids are sent for laptops. Kids are asked to have gadgets in class. And kids are actually way better than some of their parents. You find a parent saying, well, what am I supposed to do with this phone? And a child who is in P4 is saying, Mommy, let me show you what to do. Oh, Daddy, this is what you're supposed to do. So, and then you find a child who is in Kanungu, in school. Their schools, they are still using chalk in class. And people are now using what? Screens, not even whiteboards anymore.
Whiteboards have also phased out.
See, so how is the government actually going to help? Because if we are going to use the e-commerce, people can actually sell their products online to other countries, than having to sell to or is selling to people here. That means if I have international market and local market, I'll sell to other people a kilo of mangoes at 4,000, and then internationally it will be 8,000. So if these people don't actually know about the international market with the e-commerce, how are they going to actually develop and go with the trends that are actually happening?
Actually, speaking of that, recently there is a tech company that is working here in relation with government of Uganda. Huawei, actually, let me mention it. And they came out to establish an ICT academy. And with this, they are actually promoting what you've just said. Now that comes in line with the infrastructure, the ICT infrastructure, because a part of the key issue was accessibility to rural in rural areas. But what these people have done, they have decided to first partner with the universities all over, be it in West Nile, in Western Uganda, the Central, East, by providing skilling to these people, because as of my knowledge, last year they invested about 150 million US dollars as a skilling initiative to train these people about this the IT gadgets, train them the emerging technologies like the e-commerce. So it's just about the positioning. But still, I know when development initiatives come up, Charlotte, I feel like not every person can actually be accessed to. Because even the most perfect country, okay, it's not the most perfect. The country would take to be the perfect country, the US. When you go in there to the depths of it, you'll find people that are homeless, and you ask yourself, what is government doing about these people? But at least we are glad that the few that manage to get a hold of these programs, they are benefiting, and at the end of the day, they are using these skills back to impact the economy by investing in agriculture, in innovations. I see a lot of that, though there is more empowerment that is needed. And with that, government established an innovation hub in Nakawa by the Ministry of ICT. And now we also see the United Development Plan is partnering with Makerere University. They're also establishing an innovation hub, that way. So the skilling initiative is being done, and the students that will be accessing the universities will now go back with the knowledge of e-commerce. You know, knowing how, okay, I have this phone, what can I use it for? So all that, because these academies, once you go there, they don't take you hands-on, practical. You know, they first take you through a bit of what technology entails, smartphones, this and that way. Yeah. And I think, you wanted to say something?
Yes, please. You see, even with Kenyans, you know, the world is going digital with most of the things. But you see with Kenyans, usually when you see them, they look like they're rigid people. They don't like to learn. Yes. You don't tell them what to do. Okay. They seem big-headed. But of recent, I was in Kenya, and I noticed most of the Kenyans are actually going digital. When they are paying, most of the things they do on phone. You don't find them with cash. And with time, as Ugandans, we're going to go there. And when you go to places like China, even in the village, you find people not moving with cash. You just get your phone. After you're done, they put the price. You just swipe your phone. You don't need a card. So with time, even the cards are going to go away. And all you need is your phone, or a gadget, or even just a pin. You just swipe your phone like this and it is done. So with Ugandans, with time, I feel like when it goes digital, people will go with what is there, because you have nothing to do at the end of the day.
You remember when the digital migration for TVs?
Yes.
Were forced.
Yes, everyone was forced. And of course, people still had to find a way, and they still have free-to-air.
Free-to-air.
Yes.
So
you know, Ugandans find a way, or is
always looking for free things.
Yes.
Shortcuts, in other words.
All the time.
Anyway, now that brings me back to the aspect of, because Baramis also mentioned about it, adaptability.
Yeah.
How are we adapting to these new trends? Let's see what he has to say about this.
And the question we have been asking ourselves as Africa, Uganda inclusive, what has been the level of participation in these industrial revolutions? And the answer is, others have been leading and we try to follow. You speak of electricity, which came in the second industrial revolution. There are communities in Uganda and many parts of Africa which are still in darkness. We are still struggling to make sure the electricity can reach. But we have made a resolve as a government, as a country, that we shall do everything possible to catch up with the rest of the world as we join the train of this revolution, so that we move fast and move together with the rest of the world. So that these technologies which are in the market, which are coming, they become part and parcel of our day-to-day lives here in Uganda and Africa. And I can say many governments, Uganda inclusive, have put in place specific ministries responsible for ICT to drive the digital transformation agenda in our countries. We even have a network of ministers responsible for ICT in Africa. We are also coordinated as ministers responsible for ICT within the East African region. And there are some initiatives which we are pushing as a group to make sure that we integrate technology in our day-to-day work, to make sure that we are not left behind as the world moves, to make sure that we bridge the gap and remove that gap of the digital divide, the global north and the global south, the difference which is there in terms of technology. We must bridge the gap to make sure we facilitate south-to-south collaboration. When you see our friends coming from China to establish a factory here and assemble phones, that is south-to-south collaboration at work.
Well, adaptability, quite still a key challenge that way. But I believe as we move along the journey, this will be a reality, and with ease, we shall have a small flow. Charles, you're telling me something how in countries like China, who have embraced the revolution, the digital revolution, they're going ahead to customize, having their own chat. Talking about as we have WhatsApp, they have their own.
Most of the countries have WhatsApp. And then when you go to their country, they have their own that is called WeChat.
WeChat, yeah.
And why Chinese are actually leaving most of the countries when it comes to development and going ahead, so many steps ahead of us in so many ways. It's because what is theirs is theirs. You don't bring anything from America to them. Because even Google Play doesn't work in their country. They don't even use Google, because they have their own search engine. And then when you look at WeChat, yes, it is a chat engine, and you do everything from there. You chat, you make friends. It's like Facebook at the same time. It's like WhatsApp at the same time. But also you have an account, the way we have mobile money here. So for them, you have money on WeChat. So someone sends you money on WeChat, in that when you go to a restaurant, you're eating, they just ask, the way they usually ask for the MomoPay ID, those things. So for them, they ask for your WeChat ID. You just put theirs, you put the money that they're demanding you. That is how they do it. And it's done. Yeah, just like that.
Amazing. How far have we gone with that innovation in Uganda, where we can customize our very own? I love it, the fact that when it comes to the study, the universities, most of the universities have actually been able to establish their own e-learning platforms.
Here in Uganda.
Here in Uganda.
That is amazing.
Customized for them. I know some of them. Makere University, of course, has one of them, and some other private universities. And I'll call that a score for us, because the COVID-19 challenge taught us something.
Indeed.
But I still feel it was way beyond just COVID-19, just that COVID-19 quickened, woke us up. But if you take a look at the Uganda's road, the digital transformation roadmap, there is for Vision 2040. You know, there is that aspiration that we have a data-driven economy where decisions are made out of the data that is available, because this is electronic data. It can be kept and stored for reference in the future. Yeah, and because we've seen some of the policymakers making decisions which are not appropriate to us because they're getting speculative results. You know, you're just speculating the poverty rates. You are not really sure. So you go to the database, you get this. So with that, you will be able to plan effectively, and the economy would really run as so efficient. 24 minutes past 9. Let's take a break, and we're still onto this discussion regarding the 38 years economy, how we've reached, and today specifically we decided to venture into the digital revolution and trend at the same time. Stick around.
Smart 24, driving business.
Fred!
Osmosis.
Freddy! Fred Dollar, my boss, CEO Inojo, the general of generals, the conqueror of conquerors, the first and the final, the sky above the skies, the promised land, the terms and the conditions, the international king crocodile, the source of the Nile.
I don't have money today.
Just take a polite loan of 200k to stock my shop. The signs and symptoms of success. The bank commander, not the bank teller.
Why hassle for a loan when you've got MTN Momo? We're sorting. Use the Momo app or dial *165*5# for all quick loans. Choose from the different loan options from our partners and get one that works for you. Together, we're unstoppable.
Luxury redefined at Seasan Hotel as you indulge in the splendor of elegant living fit for the royalty that you are. Step into comfort, pampering and blissful customer-centric service as you select from our range of comfy, exquisite living quarters furnished to meet with your royal preference. Surrounded by scenic beauty, our tropical setting allows you to escape the glamorous ordeal of city life. Our ambient green gardens will guide you to a place of revitalizing rest. The 3-star restaurant caters to your palate serving your choice menu ranging from exotic cuisines to local delicacies. Our chefs will serve you full course meals for a truly out-of-this-world culinary experience. Our fully stocked bar to whet your throat, from renowned global brand whisks, brandies, gins, beers and wines to our locally celebrated beverages, you will not lack for any brewage. It's an all-new experience in the East at CSUN Hotel. So visit today at plot 15 to 19 Spire Road, Ginger, or contact us on +256 751 719 960 and +256 785 354 614 for reservations. CSUN Hotels, luxury redefined.
Is my joy. Ono bulu magiki wange. Ayo Talaba kumabala atukuza nonyirira okirako enyange tayisa bubi fabriki kyonna kyekiri kigwa lwa bulu magiki. Bulu magiki is my choice. Ono bulu magiki ye wange. And the bulu magiki is my choice. Hey, ono bulu magiki ye wange.
Smart 24, driving business. Smart 24, driving business.
Speaking of digital revolution, we can't pull out the idea of the e-commerce transformation because as of Uganda, the e-commerce market penetration stands lately at about 132 million US dollars. But of course, it's expected to increase further to 152 million US dollars in a space of 5 years' time. Now, still into the brand amazing innovation by the Ugandans, most especially talking about phone assembling. This is one of the initiatives, the key drivers, because we look at e-commerce as one of the drivers of economic growth and development. And we are of recent, we have the African Continental Free Trade Area. And we believe if I can know what Charlotte is in South Africa, I can know what she sells by, of course, going to her platform. I'm in Uganda, a driver. But of course, just away from the regional integration, we also still have the Vision 2040. And David Bahati mentioned that seriously, the State Minister for Trade and Cooperatives, saying that because industry of late contributes about 24.7%, now because we're going to have an assembling plant for this, that is already industry, 24.7%, but he anticipates that it could actually contribute more, more like about 35 and above percent as time goes on in that way. But let us see how he was grateful for this amazing initiative by this group of Ugandans assembling the phones.
And this, if it's affordable, then it will help us to deepen financial banking, what we call financial inclusion, to deepen e-commerce, and also to help marketing of the products that we produce up country in terms of prices, in terms of access to some of these products. So, but the most important thing that you are helping us on our strategy of import substitution and export promotion, and we thank you so much.
Import promotion is one of the aspects that is being dealt with. By the way, Charlotte, I think I told you yesterday, last year, in 2023, we saved 500 million US dollars because we were not importing raw materials to manufacture. So with what the State Minister has mentioned, this is helping us on import substitution strategy, that if we have more phones sold, manufactured within our country, Uganda, and we import less of that, that would be quite important. Or it could be even importing materials that are making these phones and so many more. We're saving a lot of money. And I think we can increase this figure from $500 million to $1 billion as we save, because our import bill is really a lot. And yet the export bill is sometimes they don't balance the imbalances of trade. But now, still into this new development, when we talk about the e-commerce, recently the CEO of the renowned e-commerce platform, Jumia actually, because it operates in Africa, I was mentioning about falling dynamics of its operation in Africa, and he was saying that in European markets, most of what we call copy and paste, in Africa, we normally use what we call the copy and paste. Because we see in America, the European markets, they are responsive to this. But in Africa, we are different. So that worried me, because I'm trying to imagine, we are looking at e-commerce as a driver of economic growth. And there is all this, it's not moving right, because if a leading giant is facing this challenge, how much more the local e-commerce platforms that we have already established? So I'm trying to understand that there is need to adapt to we Ugandans. Like, if we are implementing these policies, let them speak to us. Mm-hmm. If it's an e-commerce, the mode of operation shouldn't be like Alibaba. Let me mention that. Alibaba has its mode of operation because it's in line with it kind of correlates with its profit, profit margins, expense, and profit. But for the local platform, you need to have a new strategy. As regards to that, this can involve trying to find cheaper ways of delivery, as compared to these other international platforms which use quite robust measures when it comes to delivery. So that is part of the key discussions that are being put out there. If we are talking about the digital revolution and digitization of trade for the country, Uganda. Now, like I mentioned, manufacturing, creating more jobs, and this could be also part of the industries that we anticipate for 2024 to create an extra million jobs for the Ugandans in the year come 2024. Now, the state minister was still pleased about this, and he had more of the reviews to make regarding the innovation.
We had a contribution to GDP, though the GDP was very small in 1986, of around 1.5 billion US dollars. Now we are at 50 billion US dollars, but the contribution to GDP was less than 10%. Industrial contribution to GDP. As we speak now, 27.4% of our GDP comes from industry. Industry is next to services. And we think that with companies like this, U-Home and others, in the next 5 years, actually industry would contribute more than 35% to our national GDP. So we are on a good progress. We're making good progress in our country in terms of industrialization, and we hope that companies like U-Home and others will be able to help us with the strategy of import substitution and export promotion.
One of the key issues Uganda has been actually facing has been in line with the importing raw materials. And one of the delegates during the Non-Alignment Movement Conference made a statement and said that the more we export raw materials abroad, we are creating more, because most of our people, the Africans, when they leave and they go to Europe, surprisingly, they are employed in the value addition chain. And they're adding value on our exports, and themselves are adding the value and bringing it back here. So if we start to export already finished, now like the phones, we are likely to be exporting in a later time. Well, that would create quite a big advantage for us to gain something into this market, most especially when it comes to trade. Of course, still discussing digitization aspects. Quite a number of initiatives being carried out to be in line with the 2040 vision development for the economy, a data-driven economy. But one of the key still things we need to understand, as much as we are discussing all these, we need to understand the increasing threat of the cybersecurity threats. Talking about hackers that are coming in, and still lots of millions of dollars from given institutions. But it's all part of the skilling initiatives to train people to be cybersecurity professionals. In this way, they will be able to be of a great importance to the economy. Now, e-commerce still here as the development. Once people have access to these smartphones, well, this would be made easy. According to the recent report, the e-commerce penetration index is at about 70%. So that means, smartphone penetration at 70%. So that clearly speaks out that e-commerce is quite a great initiative in that line to, e-commerce is being facilitated. That's the infrastructure that is needed to put out this e-commerce together. So as Ugandans, it's just about upping up our game in this regard. Because if you take a look at most of the products that we put out there, most especially when it comes to e-commerce, it's in line with electronics, actually, fashion, according to research. And I think there is need for diversification of what we put. Talking about China, China, I'm going to talk about China a lot, because when you talk about e-commerce,
of course, China is the headliner in
trend.
Yes.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. In China, there are platforms that are specialized in, for example, I create a platform, and this platform, I'm only selling perfumes. I create a platform, and this platform, I'm only selling gym equipment, all that. And I'm seeing it penetrating through in Uganda, as I'm seeing a number of developers coming up with innovations tailored for a specific market. And I think that is good. Other than we being much more onto, we are onto electronics. I mean, we have a limited scope.
Well, Ugandans usually, when it comes to the e-commerce, usually they don't go with it because usually what you order for is not what you get. This
What
is
you order
something
for.
I always tell you.
Yes.
But when you look at these factories, also Alibaba, who so everywhere that we order from, also you find that what you order for is not always what you get.
It's not what you get. Yeah.
So you find that most people are not actually looking to using this most of the time. They prefer to go and see what they're going to purchase more than what they're going to purchase online. So it's better to see with your own eyes before you actually before you actually purchase what you're going to buy. So when you look at electronics, most times you'll find an electronic, you're like, wow, this is just 100,000 and it is a blender. You would be like, let me buy it. You bring it home and before you know it, you use it once or twice and the blender is actually getting spoiled. So if I'm buying something that is made on the Ugandan market and it's an electronic, you buy it online, you'll be questioning yourself. You're like, it's made in Uganda. How sure am I it's actually going to be good? So if these products are going to be put online to be sold, actually, people need to maintain the quality. Because that is one thing people need to actually look at. Yes, they are putting the products there, but how is the quality going to be maintained? If you started with quality that is A, why are you giving me quality that is C after in 3 months? So if they can actually maintain the quality, that would actually be a good thing, because we shall have so many apps opening up here in Uganda, because we see kids these days designing apps that are actually doing many things here. And schools, like you say, the universities have these apps that are actually helping kids in school.
E-learning platforms.
Yes, even the high schools here in Uganda have them. You find a school saying, go and find your work on our application, it is there. A primary school, whereby they're asking for the kids to actually have laptops. The homeworks has to be the homework itself is there online.
Exactly.
So you as a parent, you'll be forced to do what? To go dig it, or whether you like it or not. So at the end of the day, it is the quality that will matter at the end of the day. If the quality is maintained, people are going to be well with it. They'll be okay with it. They will not have a problem.
Okay.
Yeah.
I actually, mentioning of quality, it brings me back to the aspect of skilling, because why the electronics that are onto these platforms are not even made in Uganda. If we have our own products being sold onto these platforms, it would make much more sense. But it still brings me back to the aspect of skilling. And the government, the NRM government, has actually been vocal about skilling. We've seen quite a number of initiatives. And recently I saw, still in line with a national enterprise, the economic arm of the Ugandan People's Defense Forces was established a skilling initiative last year. I'm very certain on that. So I feel like that has been something done, but the skills have not been channeled to our economy. You know, we've been mentioning, like when I told you $150 million spent on skilling initiatives through organizing of ICT competitions, and a batch of our students go to China, and they have been emerging number ones. But the big question here comes in: how are these people impacting our economy? Are we just, bragging about that, we have our people representing us in China? And I think these are key weaknesses I've witnessed in the administrative, because now this is something to do with the governance policy. Because if the policy is put out there and it's being implemented, it takes still the authority to make sure that that implemented policy creates the impact it was intended for. You know, most especially if you say ICT, we need to see this participating here. And they have come out, they have done the innovations, but when you make interactions with some of these local innovators, they'll tell you the biggest challenge they are facing right now is we don't have money.
Yes.
So if we can avail money to skill them, why can't we avail money to help them?
And yes, speaking of policies, we should also look at the taxes. Because if the e-commerce is there, I am going to bring these products. But of course, I have to bring them at a factory price and I have to resell. So if I'm being overcharged, that means I have to overcharge. And if I overcharge, that means someone will say, what is the difference between the person going to the shop and the person buying online? So the government itself, if we are going to go digital, they also have to look at certain things different. If you say you're going to put phones at this particular tax, make sure all the phones are on that tax. You don't change it at any one moment. Because also, there are people who do retail and there are people who do wholesale. So if I tell you I'm doing wholesale because I'm going to do retail in the country, that means when you're taxing me, you have to go a little lower, so that I can actually get profit from whatever I'm going to sell. Yes, because as our government, as you know it, most of the people, even when you look at the people that have shops around Kampala, the thing they complain most about is the taxes. Because the person will say, I use transport to go to the country to purchase these goods. I had to pay for accommodation. I had to pay for transportation to move around to get these products. And I had to eat food when I was there. That means if I'm purchasing a bag at just 6,000 shillings in China, that means I have to add all this money. And that means by the time I bring it here to the country, I've already spent it like 15,000 on the bag. And by the time you bring it here, you're being taxed. And before you know it, you have to sell it at 70,000 or 60,000, which means you have actually spent more than you were supposed to. Yes. Meaning you have to overcharge the consumers than you had to. Profit. Yes.
Yeah, I think if we're talking about a journey to the Vision 2040 economic development, we have the national development. We've set up all forums to foster that. It's a teamwork, like you've mentioned. If the Ministry of ICT is doing its part, I expect the Uganda Revenue Authority to also be doing its part. Because if you're emphasizing the e-commerce and the participants are finding taxes as a big issue, then there has to be all the responsible stakeholders have to meet somewhere and they discuss a few issues with the relevant government bodies, which are policy influencers and policymakers at the same time, if we are to see a development.
Because you yourself as a person, if you're going to purchase a car, let's say you buy the car, let's say at 6 million in another country, you bring it to Uganda, and by the time you put it on the road, you're telling people this car is 120 million. 120 million. So that means you've been taxed a lot. That means you would rather buy a car here than get it from the other side.
Than order it on online platform that way. And I think that also represents that we lack a working kind of ethic, working cooperation. Like the different agencies, they are way independent in their operations.
Selfish. That's what I would call them. Yes,
I'll say that. So, and I think I'll still attribute that to lack of improper monitoring and evaluation of some of the policies that have been put out there by the policymakers, the decision makers, that way. Anyway, that has been the discussion for today. The digitization of the economy, talking about the IT revolution. And it's exactly 10 minutes to the top of the hour. Be productive for the day. But of course, Charlotte, before we sign out, I have a question. In your own opinion, when do you think is the right time for a child to obtain a skill?
When it comes to skills, personally, as a mom of two, I feel like even at 3 years, if the child shows you they are ready to learn, because already when a child is 2-3 months, you're already saying, say mama, say dada, so that is already a skill to talk. So anytime a child is ready, you don't have to wait. During holidays, take the child for piano classes, take the child to learn French, take the child to learn mechanics. If the child is opening your TV all the time, take this child to do something else that is not going to spoil your things at home. So make the child busy, maybe. Let them learn IT. Let them do something that is going to keep them busy. There is no time. There is no particular time
for a child to learn.
It depends on, every child is different. You cannot say, let's wait for the child to make 10 years. No, every child is different. There are kids you find at 5 years doing things of kids who are 10 years old. So you don't have a time. Yeah.
Very interesting. The mother of two has definitely explained that. Who am I to add something on that? Well, see you tomorrow. Have a good morning.